The book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie recently caught my attention. Are you aware that having fewer friends as you age is more dangerous than being overweight or smoking 15 cigarettes a day? You can be 7 times more productive and engaged at work if you have a best friend at work. Isn't it just nice to have colleagues and customers you can call your friends rather than surrounded by a group of people you suspect are talking behind your back and working to undermine your success, regardless of the latest science on friendship? How nice would it be to have professional friends who could help you with your career? You're looking for a new job because things don't go according to plan? A book that has been around for 80 years, How to Win Friends and Influence People, provides you with all the tools you need to build strong friendships, strengthen your network, and make people willing to help you throughout your career. You can be sure that the principles in this book will be used by your kids and grandkids when they are trying to win friends and influence people as they are today. I'm going to tell you a few stories that illustrate these 2 fundamental behaviors for winning friends and influencing people in this book. During the 1800s, there was a poor Dutch immigrant boy named Edward Bockbach who did not receive any formal education. Yet he became one of the most successful magazine editors ever. How did he do it? As a 13-year-old, he saved up money to purchase an encyclopedia of American biographies. Then he did something most of us would never have considered. After reading the lives of these famous people, he wrote letters to them asking questions about their lives. Upon writing Grant about a certain battle, Grant drew him a map and invited him to dinner. Soon he was corresponding with some of the most famous people in the country, including Ralph Waldo Emerson and Abraham Lincoln. It didn't take long for him to gain access to the people that would be needed to run a successful magazine. His mere interest in others was enough to win him friendships with some of the nation's most influential people. The first fundamental behavior to win more friends and influence people is to be genuinely interested in other people. Dale Carnegie explains that if you become interested in other people in 2 months, you can make more friends than you can in 2 years if you try to make other people interested in you. To spark a genuine interest in others, make it your mission to find out how people spend their time and what subjects excite them, then make their subjects of interest your temporary passion. You should be fascinated by what fascinates them. Think about someone who collects stamps. If you research stamps and find out that the most expensive stamp is worth $9.5 million, stamps might become interesting. If I met someone with a stamp collection, I would be curious about what stamps were popular during World War II. Alternatively, you can ask them for advice if you were to start a stamp collection. For example, if you were to start a stamp collection, where should I buy old stamps? You will be able to influence people to act in your favor if you let them share their interest and show their expertise. You will also be able to influence others to act in your favor if you show genuine interest in them. As a fundraiser for his local Boy Scout group in the early 1900s, Edward Chalef wanted to ask the president of a big corporation for a favor. Before he met with his corporate president to see if he would be willing to fund one Boy Scout trip to Europe, he wanted to send at least one of his Boy Scouts to a jamboree in Europe. The president framed this $1 million check on his wall and was extremely proud of it. Edwards asked to see the man's check as soon as he met him. He told the man he had never heard of anybody writing $1 million check. In addition, he wanted to share the news with all his boys that he had found $1 million check. The president gladly showed him the check and talked glowingly about it. He turned to the president after a few minutes of discussing it and asked, "What would you like to discuss with me?" The boy was surprised to learn that Edward not only gave him enough money to send one boy to the jamboree, but also enough money to send 5 boys and himself to Europe for 7 weeks in the book. He says, "I know I wouldn't have found him if I hadn't asked him what he was interested in and warmed him up first." The key to winning friends and influencing people is to show an interest in them. Let's move on to the second fundamental behavior for winning friends and influencing people. Identify a person you have recently received praise for, say, their work, their housework, or a good deed that you performed. How did you feel about that person after receiving their praise? Consider a teacher or a boss who has consistently praised your work. How does that teacher or boss compare to other teachers or bosses? Let me share a personal story with you while you ponder those questions. I was leading a project for an electrical engineer at a pulp mill several years ago while I was working there. On a series of steel pipes, I instructed a welder to install a group of very expensive temperature sensors. When I returned to check on the welder later that afternoon, I discovered the sensors were installed on the wrong pipes. I was horrified. Correcting the mistake would set back the project at least a day and cost thousands of dollars later that day. It was my responsibility to make the mistake, and I promised to correct the mistake in a daily meeting with the pulp mill manager and dozens of other important project participants. Afterward, I felt incompetent. My courage to apologize to management was praised by a senior engineer before I left the office. When I told him that my mood drastically improved and the senior engineer who praised me was someone I previously didn't like and actually tried to avoid, he said he wished he had that courage at my age. I still hold them in high regard today, though, because he acknowledged me for something difficult that I did. The second fundamental behavior to winning friends and influencing people is to give frequent praise. The author Dale Carnegie claims that if you let your family or employees go 6 days without food, you're committing a crime. Yet you will let them go 6 days, 6 weeks, and sometimes 60 years without showing them the hearty appreciation they crave almost as much as they crave food. Every one of us craves appreciation. The great Charles Schwab once said, "If I like anything, I'm hearty in my appreciation and lavish in my praise." When you see a coworker put in extra effort, praise their commitment to the team, walk over to them, and praise their commitment to the team. In the event that your partner or child helps around the house in any way, praise them. Taking 2 minutes every day to write out an email praising a friend or coworker for any recent progress they have made on one of their goals or projects is a great way to strengthen your appreciation and praise muscle. If you choose to do this on Facebook, make it as personal as possible by not just liking someone's comment, but writing a direct message explaining why you like it so much. In addition to praise, Dale Carnegie tells the story of Pamela Dunham, a supervisor from Connecticut who was responsible for supervising a poorly performing janitor. To show him how bad a job he was doing, his colleagues jeered at him and littered the hallways. According to the book, Pam tried various ways to motivate this person. Productive time was being lost in the shop with no success. She noticed that he occasionally did a particularly good work piece. She made it a point to praise him for it in front of the other people, and pretty soon he started doing all his work efficiently. Now he does an excellent job and other people give him appreciation and recognition, honest appreciation. Got results where criticism and ridicule failed. Consequently, you will win friends and influence people if you take a genuine interest in others and give them frequent praise. You will give people the joy of discussing their interests and satisfying their desire to be praised and appreciated. The core message of Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is that you will soon have friends who wish to help you succeed. It is clear why this book is still in print 80 years later. If you would like a one-page summary of insights I gained from this book, just click the link below. I highly recommend it to anyone who wishes to refine their social skills. Thanks for watching and have a productive week. Please share this video if you enjoyed it.